several speakers would have given a lead on what is the 5G situation in the country and in the telecom sector. But you are all aware that, thank you. Last year, we started with the whole process, and it actually began with a lot of flourish when we were able to put 5G spectrum to auction for almost 1.5 lakh crore. So it fulfilled both the needs. It fulfilled the needs of the TSPs by giving a large chunk of almost 100 megahertz of mid-band spectrum, and maybe thousands in the 26 gigahertz, and to facilitate building up a very effective and fast network for the 5G. As a result of this and the quick assignment of spectrum, most TSPs were immediately able to bring their resources in, put a lot of capex, and it turned out to be one of the fastest rollouts in the world, something that is appreciated by most other administrations who are also struggling with the not only the deployment but also to get returns on these investments in the 5G. One of the manner in which it is functioning in India and maybe even in Southeast Asia is the returns are low compared to the flourish with which we actually set up the network, and perhaps it's functioning more like a 4G advanced than a full-fledged 5G in terms of new usage. So it's the general growth in data, which is in any way phenomenal, which is driving the revenues of the operators. How is the revenue trends is something that we need to look at, and if you look closely at what has been the growth in the last 5 years, from about 2018-19 to 23, we have grown by almost 50% in terms of gross revenues of the sector. You are aware that last year, for the first time, we crossed the benchmark of 3 lakh crores in the gross revenue. In some ways, the kind of reforms that were made in October 21 prior to the launch of 5G, that has also helped drive the revenue growth in this sector. A lot of nitty-gritties were resolved regarding the taxation policies. I don't know how many of you realize that in case of spectrum usage charges, the weighted average compliance to the telecom operators has reduced from approximately 5% to 0.5%. So there is a lot of money that has been freed for further investment and capex in the 5G, and some reduction also took place in the other side, the license fee, where business processes were eased, and some 10-20% benefits were also availed while restructuring the taxation structure of both license fee and the spectrum usage charges. Simultaneously, a lot of payment terms, easier payment terms, exit policy from the spectrum holdings, bank guarantees being rationalized, and there were a host of other measures that actually enabled a lot more capex to be available to the TSPs over the last 2 years since 21. So that has really led the ease of enabling the TSPs to make bigger investments in 5G. However, we would have liked that all the usage cases that were there at the beginning, things like IoT, AR, VR, and some kind of a retail usage would have come up, and it would have contributed to some kind of special tariffs for 5G. But that has largely not happened as yet, though the quality of service having been improved with this allotment of about 100 megahertz, it makes it easier for operators to cut the deep discounts and improve their revenues. In the last 5 years again, we started at an ARPU of probably 100 rupees sometime in 17, 18, 18, 19. And now we are almost plus 150, and in some cases TSPs, they are approaching 200 rupee, and they aspire to reach 300 rupee ARPU. If you look at in terms of gross revenue, it's almost increased by 1 lakh crore since 18-19. I would see that if similar growth in ARPU takes place, then there will be increase in income to the tune of 50,000 to 1 lakh crore in the coming years. And these are the opportunities that will be created for making higher investments in the telecom sector. So increase in data usage is what is pushing this realization. And you know, the yields in data are always not commensurate with the quantum of data usage that the usage increases by. But if the yields follow a certain equation, you know, if there is a 10%, 20%, 30% increase with the data growth, then there is an opportunity here for increasing the returns from the 5G network. But the real upturn would take place if the usages, specialized killer usages as they are called these days, these really come up in a big way, not only in the enterprise segment, but also in the retail segment. Though in India, it's not only the retail usage that is not taken off, it is also the enterprise usage which has not come up in the manner that we thought it would take off right after the introduction of 5G in the country. There were opportunities created. I think one of those significant opportunity was CNPN, and I see a very slow uptake from the telecom service operators in creating CNPN networks. Either they are not able to see a revenue opportunity in creating those networks. Otherwise, there should be enough demand, and I think TSPs need to look more specifically as to how they can assist the setting up of these captive networks, and also build in or design commercial agreements that in the future they'll get more out of, they are able to get whatever is satisfactory out of designing such networks. What is the government doing now? There is an amazing emphasis. If you look at 2G, 3G, and 4G, what governments did at that time and what it is doing now, there is a significant greater involvement in the growth of the generational network. So 5G, as even Raghunandan was mentioning as a regulator, and even from DoT, there is a great push that this generation network reaches its pinnacle. So there is a saturation, and then it also reaches the pinnacle of its use. So there is a lot of push on PLI, you know, manufacturing equipments that are there. I met a few gentlemen from the manufacturing industry, and I was in fact inquiring what is the status of demands from the various telecom operators for the equipment that you are manufacturing. A lot of it is getting manufactured within the country with the help of PLI, etc. And I guess the sector has to look at these manufacturers and start, you know, encouraging the ecosystem that is developing within the country. Then there is the test labs that we have deployed in almost 100 institutions. Uh, if you are following the news, you must have heard the minister announcing a regulatory sandbox a few days back. Of course, he also announced the doing away with the wireless operating license, but that was a process ease of business announcement. But the other announcement was significant because there is a regulatory sandbox policy now ready. And it is open for all operators to set up these sandbox networks and ensure that there is growth in the kind of equipment that can be used, so that there is a aspect of greater usage. There is also cost saving issues with the cheaper and locally made equipment that will be available for deploying these networks and enhancing the capacity of these networks. Besides all this, there is some push now to maybe in the very near future to also set up showcase 5G networks in a few maybe rural areas and some other centers, which will enable us to be more confident about the kind of usage that may come about on the 5G network. So maybe using these sensor equipments to find out greater usage in areas of agriculture, health, education, to set up real life examples within the country which can be copied by, or rather can be deployed by the various network providers all over the country. So some of these issues, I guess they have to be adopted by the 5G network providers to provide the kind of success that is required for generating adequate revenues, for a capacity growth, for enabling further rollout of the network, reaching the rural areas, providing seamless 5G connectivity all over the country. And that is the kind of achievement the government is driving at. While doing all this, the eye is fully open at 6G and the possible development of 6G, where significant investments by the government will be made on some of the technology that may get deployed in the 6G environment, things like quantum and others, which are also being pushed by government, not only by government policy, but by government funding also. So there is a lot of opportunity there. R&D is one area that has not achieved sufficient push in the previous generation networks. 5G is an opportunity in every way. It has opened R&D, it has opened manufacturing, while it is also assisting the usage cases and trying to find that the network is utilized optimally to give sufficient resources for the future investments in telecom network. So I guess it is the time for all operators, all manufacturers, everybody who contributes to the ecosystem to take advantage of this regulatory push or policy push that is coming. If we take full advantage of it, this will result in much better quality of service, much better investments in the coming years. And I hope towards this, in gatherings like this, we'll be able to make up our minds as to where we need to take our own business investments by ensuring that FWA, by ensuring that VNOs, they become good partners and there is enough revenue generated in the network that can be shared by all these partners in the network also. So we are reaching a critical revenue position in the sector at these times, And I sincerely wish that everybody who is a part of the ecosystem today is able to take advantage of it and build a very optimal network in the coming years, and our transition to 6G becomes much easier. With that, I would like to end my conversation here, and I wish the best to ET, and I'm really glad that they have gathered a large number of contributors to this, to the growth of 5G and 6G, and I wish all the best to the gathering. Thank you very much.